Jai Gurudev. Today we have the privilege of speaking with an art of living expert and an officer of Vedic Dharma Sansthan. We will explore how the timeless wisdom of His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji and the transformative tools and techniques of art of living such as meditation, Sudarshan Kriya, Pranayama and several Vedic practices like Upanayana, Gayatri Japa and Shakti Kriya can be applied to the profound themes explored in the TV series The Young Pope. Welcome and thank you for joining us, Jai Gurudev, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to discuss these powerful teachings and how they can relate to the inner struggles and wisdom depicted in the young Pope. In the series, Pope Pius XIII struggles deeply with internal conflicts between his faith, his authority, and his personal desires. One of the major themes of the show is the tension between personal and public life. How do the teachings of His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji and the practices of art of living address this balance? This is a very pertinent question. His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji often speaks about the importance of integrating one's inner life with the outer world. The tension that Pope Pius XIII experiences between his personal desires and his public responsibilities can be addressed through meditation and the practice of Sudarshan Kriya. These tools help in finding inner clarity and balance. Sudarshan Kriya, a rhythmic breathing technique, helps release stress and emotional turmoil, bringing a sense of harmony between the inner self and outer duties. When we meditate or do Sudarshan Kriya, we access a space of stillness within ourselves where we can make decisions from a place of centeredness and wisdom. Pope Pius XIII's internal conflict could be alleviated through these practices, helping him make decisions that align with both his faith and his duties. In addition, pranayama, which involves conscious breathing exercises, can help him overcome the anxiety and stress he faces due to his leadership responsibilities. It also helps cultivate mental clarity, allowing for decisions that are not driven by ego but by a sense of purpose. The series also highlights the loneliness and isolation of leadership. Pope Pius XIII often seems to be surrounded by people but is emotionally disconnected. What would His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji say about leadership and solitude? Gurudev speaks about often about a paradox of leadership. True leadership is about service and it's deeply connected to compassion and connection. Yet, as Pope Pius XIII's story shows, leadership at the highest levels can lead to feelings of isolation. Gurudev teaches us that self awareness and self compassion are essential. When a leader is spiritually grounded through practices like Upanayana, spiritual initiation, and sadhana, daily spiritual practice, they can manage feelings of loneliness. These practices bring an individual closer to their true nature, where they feel a connection to the universe and everyone around them, not just the ones in their immediate circle. In fact, sadhana, the regular spiritual practice, helps us transcend the feeling of loneliness because we connect with our higher self. It's the recognition that we are not alone and that the source of all energy and wisdom is within us. For Pope Pius XIII, this connection could be fostered through daily sadhana and reciting Gayatri Japa, which is a powerful Vedic prayer that connects us with the higher consciousness. Pope Pius XIII also struggles with power and control, often displaying a manipulative streak. He is willing to do whatever it takes to maintain his authority. How does Art of Living philosophy address the dangers of unchecked ambition and manipulation? This is a very insightful observation. In Art of Living, Gurudev emphasizes that detachment and surrender to a higher power are key to avoiding the negative consequences of ambition and manipulation. Practices like Sudarshan Kriya help clear the mind of negative emotions like greed and pride, which are often at the root of power struggles. Through deep relaxation, pranayama, and meditation, a person can learn to become equanimous, to rise above the emotional turbulence that power and control can create. The art of living also teaches that the highest form of leadership is serving with humility. Gurudev often says, the higher you go, the lower you must become. This means that true power doesn't come from control but from compassion and service to others. Pope Pius XIII's manipulation and desire for absolute power could have been transformed through the practice of surrender in sadhana, focusing on service to the greater good rather than personal gain. Additionally, Gurudev's teachings on karma yoga or selfless action would encourage Pope Pius XIII to move away from manipulation and instead act with the awareness that every action, word, and thought should serve a greater purpose, bringing peace to himself and others. Yes, Jagger, the Pope Pius XIII also faces a deep internal struggle with his faith. How can the tools of art of living support someone who is grappling with their spirituality, as seen with Pope Pius XIII? This internal struggle between faith and doubt is something many of us experience, especially when faced with immense responsibilities or crisis. Art of living tools like meditation and Sudarshan Kriya are particularly effective in bringing clarity to such inner conflicts. These practices help quiet the mind, allowing the individual to reconnect with their spiritual essence. In the case of Pope Pius XIII, who is grappling with both faith and the weight of power, the recalls on their practice reciting mantras at specific times of the day, morning, noon, and evening would be particularly powerful. This ancient Vedic practice helps establish a rhythm in life, balancing spiritual duties with the worldly responsibilities. Gayatri Japa, when practiced with devotion, helps to purify the mind and reconnect the individual with the divine energy that governs the universe. By integrating such practices into his daily routine, Pope Pius XIII could have deepened his spiritual connection, leading him to a place of more profound wisdom and faith. Agni Karam, offering of fire, and Sanyam Sadhana, discipline through spiritual practice, also help in aligning the body, mind, and spirit, creating a sense of inner peace that can guide him through his spiritual crisis. The series explores the concept of forgiveness, which is a challenge for Pope Pius XIII. How do Gurudev's teachings on forgiveness and emotional release help in these situations? Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools for emotional healing. Gurudev often says forgiveness is not just for others, it is for you. It frees you from the chains of the past. Pope Pius XIII's inability to forgive is rooted in his attachment to past pain, guilt, and pride. So, Darshan Kriya can help release these deeply ingrained emotions as it detoxifies the mind and body, making space for emotional healing. Additionally, pranayama techniques like Bhastrika pranayama or forceful breathing can help clear negative emotional blockages. These practices allow a person to forgive themselves first before they can forgive others. The power of prayer and chanting, such as the Gayatri Mantra, creates a vibrational shift within us, promoting compassion and forgiveness. Pope Pius XIII's journey of forgiveness can be guided by many practices, and these practices helping him see the larger picture and release the weight of his past actions. Padma sadhana, a practice that involves focusing on inner peace, would allow him to transcend this inner turmoil and approach forgiveness with grace and humility. Lastly, leadership in this series is often shown as a source of immense loneliness. How can someone in such a position stay grounded and connected to their true self as Pope Pius XIII seems to lose touch with his? The key to staying grounded in leadership is self awareness. When we practice daily techniques like sadhana and meditation, we connect with our true self and move beyond the roles and titles that can define us. Gurudev speaks about the importance of living in the present moment and serving with love and compassion rather than being consumed by the external demands of leadership. For someone like Pope Pius XIII, engaging in practices such as sadhana, Sudarshan Kriya, and Gayatri Japa regularly would help him find clarity and connect with his higher purpose. The wisdom gained from such practices would allow him to approach leadership with humility, recognizing that his true power lies in his ability to serve rather than control. Upanayana or spiritual initiation also plays a role in reminding us of our inner light, keeping us grounded in our connection with the divine and the greater good. By applying these techniques, Pope Pius XIII would have been better equipped to maintain his leadership without losing touch with his inner peace and wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing these insightful connections between the wisdom of His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar and the challenges faced by Pope Pius XIII in the young Pope. Your expertise highlights this. Thank you. Jayodev, and thank you for this opportunity to explore the intersection of modern leadership and ancient wisdom. I believe that these practices can truly help anyone facing similar challenges, whether in leadership or personal life, to reconnect with their inner peace and wisdom. You are very welcome, and I'm sure our viewers will find these connections fascinating. One recurring theme in the young Pope is the role of power, and often Pope Pius XIII seems consumed by it. How would His Holiness Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar teachings help someone like him transform this obsession with power into something more meaningful and beneficial? Gurudev often teaches that true power lies in humility, service, and self awareness rather than domination or control over others. This is very relevant for Pope Pius XIII, who seeks power to create a change but is simultaneously burdened by the fear of losing it. Gurudev would encourage him to reflect on karma yoga, the practice of selfless action. By focusing on serving the greater good, leaders can relinquish the need for control and ego driven decisions. When someone practices sadhana and Sudarshan Kriya, they develop a deep connection to their inner wisdom, which enables them to make decisions that are aligned with their values rather than being driven by the need to control or dominate others. These practices help in breaking free from the patterns of attachment to outcomes, allowing leaders like Pope Pius XIII to act with greater clarity and less fear. Additionally, Gurudev teaches that when we focus on our connection to the divine, we no longer seek power as a means of validation. Instead, it becomes a tool for creating peace and harmony. For someone in the position of Pope Pius XIII, this would mean that rather than using his power for personal gain, he would channel it toward uplifting others and promoting a larger vision for truth and compassion. That's a beautiful way to put it, service over control. Another significant theme in the series is forgiveness, or rather the lack of it. Pope Pius XIII struggles with forgiving others and even himself. How do the tools and techniques of Art of Living help individuals in such situations? Forgiveness is one of the most transformative aspects of spiritual growth. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji frequently says, forgiveness is not just for others, it is for you. Holding on to anger, resentment, or guilt not only harms the other person, but it also creates a deep emotional blockage within oneself. In Pope Pius XIII's case, the inability to forgive others and himself seems to weigh heavily on his ability to truly lead from a place of compassion. Through practices like Sudarshan Kriya, negative emotions can be released. The technique works on a cellular level to detoxify the body and mind from the accumulated stress, anger, and sorrow that might be blocking forgiveness. Pranayama and meditation also create a space where one can let go of the past and move forward with an open heart. As we breathe deeply and connect with our higher selves, we can see the larger perspective, realizing that holding on to grudges only keeps us trapped in a cycle of pain. Additionally, the practice of Gayatri Japa and Trikalsanda, the Vedic prayers done at specific times of the day, help to cleanse the mind and restore mental clarity. This clarity makes it easier to forgive. When we align ourselves with higher wisdom, we are naturally able to release old wounds and open ourselves to compassion. Pope Pius XIII's journey could have been lighted by these practices, helping him forgive not only others but also himself. It's incredible how the tools from Art of Living can help release such deep seated emotional blocks. Now, there is a moment in the series where Pope Pius XIII feels lost in his leadership role, questioning his purpose. In such moments, how would the Art of Living's teachings on purpose and clarity guide someone in finding their true direction? Finding clarity and purpose is one of the most profound gifts that His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ji's teachings offer. When someone feels lost or disconnected from their purpose, it often stems from being able to or being too attached or to external validation or achievements. The practices of meditation, Sudarshan Kriya, and sadhana are incredibly effective at helping individuals reconnect with their true self, the part of us that knows exactly what our deeper purpose is. Gurudev says, when the mind is calm and clear, we can hear the voice of the heart. Sudarshan Kriya especially helps calm the mind and remove confusion. Through this process, people like Pope Pius XIII can tap into their intuition and gain the clarity needed to understand their true role, not as a figurehead, but as a servant leader dedicated to guiding others toward peace and unity. Furthermore, engaging in Karma Yoga, which is the path of selfless action, can be a powerful way for Pope Pius XIII to rediscover his purpose. To dedicated service and detachment from results, one can foster entirely on the task at hand, no matter how great or small. This would give him a sense of fulfillment and bring him back to his purpose beyond the personal accolades or power. In addition, daily practices such as Padmasana and Shakti Kriya, which are designed to open and energize the body and mind, help leaders maintain vitality and purpose-driven energy. These techniques empower us to become aligned with the highest good, giving us the inner strength to follow through with decisions that contribute to a greater cause rather than getting lost in self doubt. Absolutely, it seems that in finding clarity and inner peace, Pope Pius XIII could reconnect with his true purpose. One final theme I would like to touch on is self discipline. Pope Pius XIII's personal discipline is evident, yet it is often in conflict with his inner desires. How do Art of Living's practices support self discipline while maintaining emotional balance? Self discipline is indeed a cornerstone of both spiritual practice and leadership. However, it's important to understand that true discipline does not come from forcing oneself or rigidly following rules. Gurudev teaches that discipline must come from a place of love and self respect. It's about making choices that nurture our well being instead of forcing ourselves into actions driven by guilt or external pressures. In the case of Pope Pius XIII, his discipline may appear as rigid or demanding, but the practices of sadhana, pranayama, and sudarshan kriya would help him find a balance. These techniques enable us to create an inner rhythm that flows naturally rather than imposing external control. When practiced regularly, these tools help align the body, mind, and spirit, bringing about a natural discipline that is not harsh but compassionate. In addition, the practices like Agnikaram, offering fire in devotion, and Sanyam Sadhana of spiritual discipline, serve as a reminder of the importance of aligning daily actions with our spiritual and moral values. By cultivating inner peace through daily meditation and pranayama, we learn to take disciplined actions without stress or internal conflict. This type of discipline supports growth while maintaining emotional balance, creating a sense of harmony in all aspects of life. Thank you so much for this enlightening conversation. Your insights show how the teachings of His Holiness Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji and the Art of Living practices can offer profound solutions to the internal struggles faced by Pope Pius XIII in the young Pope. Whether it's power, forgiveness, purpose, or self discipline, these tools create a holistic approach to leadership, spirituality, and personal transformation. It's been a pleasure to share these insights. Gurudev's teachings and the tools of Art of Living are truly transformative, and I believe they can bring peace and clarity to anyone, no matter their circumstances. May we all find the wisdom to lead with compassion, humility, and self awareness. Thank you once again for your time and wisdom. It's been an eye opening conversation. Thank you for having me. I hope these teachings inspire positive change for everyone watching. Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev, and thank you for your thoughtful insights. I think our audience can truly see how the wisdom from His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji can provide a transmitted path for anyone, whether they are struggling with power, inner conflict, or spiritual crisis like Pope Pius XIII. As we close, I would like to ask, how would you encourage people to incorporate these practices into their daily lives, especially for those who might feel overwhelmed by the pressures of work, family, or leadership roles? It's an excellent question, and I understand how many people feel overwhelmed by the responsibilities they carry, whether it's in their work, family, or leadership positions. Gurudev always emphasizes the importance of small, consistent steps that lead to big changes over time. The beauty of Art of Living such practices is that they are accessible to everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances. Whether you are leading a country or managing a family, these tools are for anyone seeking peace and clarity. First and foremost, meditation and Sudarshan Kriya are incredibly powerful tools. These can be practiced in as little as 20 to 30 minutes per day, and they bring a deep relaxation, emotional release, and spiritual growth. For Pope Pius XIII, if he had dedicated just a small portion of his day to these practices, he could have experienced a sense of calm and connection that would have helped him navigate his complex responsibilities. In our daily lives, taking time each morning to meditate or do Sudarshan Kriya sets the tone for the day and helps us stay grounded and focused no matter what challenges we face. For those with a busy lifestyle, incorporating pranayama breathing exercises throughout the day is extremely effective. Short, focused breathing exercises like Bhastrika or Nadi Shodhan pranayama or alternate nostril breathing can be done in just a few minutes to calm the nervous system, reduce stress, and clear mental clutter. These tools are perfect for leaders or anyone in high stress environments who may feel disconnected or overwhelmed. They can help people stay centered and maintain clarity in decision making. Another important practice is setting an intention for the day, whether through sadhana or through mindful affirmations. This could be as simple as dedicating a few moments to reflect on the bigger picture or the larger purpose of your role, whether it's leadership, service, or simply caring for others. Pope Pius XIII could have benefited greatly from reflecting on his higher purpose each day, which would have brought him back to his values, allowing him to act from a place of service rather than from a place of ego. Also, embracing self compassion is key. Many leaders like Pope Pius XIII push themselves too hard, but true discipline can progress come from a place of love and understanding for oneself. Gurudev always says, be kind to yourself. When we practice self compassion, it becomes easier to forgive ourselves, let go of regret, and make better decisions. Upanayanam, the Vedic ritual of initiation, teaches the importance of connecting to our inner spiritual guidance, which reminds us that we are capable of great things without having to exert pressure on ourselves. For those with busy schedules, Trekal Sandhya, a form of worship and prayer offered at three different times during the day, is another simple practice that helps you stay spiritually connected and aware throughout the day. By grounding oneself in a practice of gratitude and devotion at different times, you can refocus your mind and maintain inner peace no matter how busy the day gets. These practical tools seem to so accessible and grounding even for the busiest individuals. As we wrap up, Can you share a final thought on how anyone, whether they are in a leadership role or not, can cultivate inner peace, especially in the face of external pressures and conflicts? The essence of His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's teachings is that inner peace is not something we acquire from the outside, but rather something we uncover from within. True peace comes from connecting to our higher self, the part of us that is unaffected by external circumstances, whether it's the pressures of work, family, or societal expectations. Gurudev often says the only real peace is inner peace. When we cultivate a practice of meditation, breathing exercises, and sadhana, we tap into deeper space within ourselves where all external conflicts lose their power. Pope Pius XIII's internal struggles in the young Pope reflect the same issues many of us face: the desire for control, the fear of failure, and the pain of not feeling understood. Yet, by practicing tools like Sudarshan Kriya, Sadhana, and Karma Yoga, we slowly begin to transcend the external conflicts and come into alignment with the true purpose. With these practices, we learn to be less reactive to external circumstances and more responsive in a peaceful and clear minded way. In conclusion, I would encourage everyone, whether a leader or not, to commit to a small daily practice of meditation, prayer, and self awareness. In this quiet space, we can listen to the wisdom that resides within us and begin to lead a life of greater peace, clarity, and love. That's a powerful reminder of the importance of inner peace and how we can cultivate it through daily practices. Thank you once again for your wisdom and for taking the time to explain how His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's teachings can offer such profound guidance even in the most complex and turbulent situations. Jai Gurudev, thank you for having me. I hope that the teachings shared today inspire many to embark on the path of spiritual practice and self awareness. Peace within is the foundation for a peaceful world. Jai Gurudev.